Welcome, everybody, to Mindset Monday. I'm your host, Denise Zach. Another wonderful guest that I have today on Mindset Monday. Another great day for us to connect and learn about what's going on in those 6 inches in between your ears, which can get a lot of us into trouble, but also help us all be super successful. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Denise Zach, and I'm Executive Director of Game Plan U, their Career Connect program. Game Plan U, if you haven't heard about it, it is an organization that brings founders and who are making sports innovation, sports tech startups, bringing them into the world. We connect them with executives in residence, mentors, executives in the world who are experts in their field around sports technology, and we bring them into the community to support, for deal flow, for mentorship with all of our founders. And we also bring students who are newly out of college, people who are switching their careers, looking to get into sports technology, and we bring them into the community as well. So we have this really neat ecosystem of founders, executives, and talent looking to make a change in the world and looking to grow, expand their business, expand their careers, or just to give back. And it's an amazing organization. If you want to learn more about it, just check us out at gameplanu.org. This podcast is part of that community. I bring on our founders, our executives and residents, our talent, and I talk to them about what's going on, like I said, in those 6 inches between their ears. As a therapist for 20 years, that's what I did. I dove in, I tried to understand what made people tick, what got in their way, what helped them to be successful, and to help them develop strategies and learn to kind of get out of their own way and be successful. So I bring on the people in our community, and they talk about what they've done in their lives, how they've overcome challenges, and the incredible things that they've been able to accomplish as a result of getting their mindset in the right space. And so today, my guest is one of our amazing EIRs, our executives in residence, Mr. Ryan Knuppel. He is just an amazing person. He's the founder and CEO of Knuppel Solutions, LLC. They are content creators, and they do amazing work around gaming and sports betting, and they provide content for these agencies. And I'm going to bring him on so he can do a much better job of introducing what he does and how he does it. Mr. Ryan Knuppel, thank you so much for being here today. Welcome.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here and talk a little bit about the mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to dive in. But first, I want to hear about a little bit more about Knuppel Solutions, about what you do. Let me get this up here. Knuppel Solutions. Sorry, I think I said
That's
Knuppel
okay.
Solutions, but in Knuppel Solutions, tell us a little bit about it. Like when you started it, why you started it, like what your love of sports betting and gaming is, and how you got into this.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I didn't have any plan of owning my own business, right? That wasn't really part of my plan. I came out of college and I had a corporate job working at Caterpillar, which is the big yellow tractors. So completely out of gaming. I mean, this is in, the engines and all of that area. And so I was a web developer, a coder, and then kind of moved up into more project management space in my corporate real job, right? And so this is 15, 20 years ago. And right in the beginning, like right when I started, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this my whole life. Like, this is like awful, for lack of better words. Is this life? Like, wow. And so I really started dabbling in just, I guess, extracurricular activities, right? Just hobby type stuff. And sports is what I love. Sports is what I've always been around. And so I found myself, in, connecting the dots between this. I love the web, and this is back right when web was starting. It was kind of before the internet's big days, right? And I was diving into, I love creating websites and messing around with website stuff, and I love sports and kind of putting it all together. And I got connected with a community of affiliates at the time. I didn't really know what an affiliate was, but it was a sports betting affiliate or gambling affiliates back in the day. And I just kind of dove into that community. And long story short, I really got connected with a bunch of website owners, people who owned websites in this space. And the one thing I noticed is they always needed content. They always needed, hey, I need an article on this game, or I need something on this game. And I'm sitting here like, well, I'm not a writer, I'm not a journalist, but I can certainly tell you who's going to win this game, or I could write, I'm educated enough to write an article on this game. Right. And so
Yeah.
I kind of started doing that for, 5, 10, 15 years on the side as a side hustle, and really grew that up to the point where, I guess about 6 years ago now, when the time came where I was able to leave my corporate job, I was able to kind of look at what I had going on, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I think I could go full time on this and really make as much money, or be way happier than I am at my corporate job. So that's what I did about 6 years ago, and I launched Knuppel Solutions LLC, a content agency focused on sports betting content, gaming content, articles in this space, right? And so it was just me. I started as just me writing articles for clients, reached out to all of them and said, hey, I'm full time now. What else do you need? And it was like, oh boy, flooded me with stuff, and it was all of a sudden like, crap, I can't keep up with this. No way. I'm one person and I'm not going to write 100 articles a day. Like, I can't do it. And
Yeah.
so brought my brother on, who's like a clone of me, a younger version of me, and brought him on to help. And, long story short, today we have, 50 to 70 active writers at any time. That number kind of fluctuates in there, but I'd say about 60 writers that work for me. And then we have, full-time people around this whole space, the whole space of content. And now we're really focused on, really niche down to the U.S. sports betting market, and that's really what we kind of tailor to. So that's my long, short-winded backstory.
I love it. You talk about connecting the dots, and I think that is something that, especially when people are first getting into the world of work, they don't realize that every step and every hobby and every meeting or opportunity or networking situation that you're in is one more piece of the puzzle that potentially could lead to the next opportunity for you. And because I think that people think they go to school and they study and they become that thing, right? Whatever that is, and then that's going to be the rest of their life. And so, was there ever a point when you were working for Caterpillar? I mean, it sounds like probably a great company, but it wasn't 100% for you, right? And you had some sort of feeling that it wasn't. What was that like when you were working there and doing your side hustle? Just knowing that it wasn't quite exactly everything that you wanted.
Yeah, I mean, well, of course, they're a great company. They're a Fortune 100 company, one of the largest in the world, and probably most people's dream type job, that I had
Yeah,
there, and so that is kind of a strange thought that I wasn't truly happy there, and that's more of an internal thing, right? You gotta.
absolutely.
It's more of an internal thing that everybody has what they love and what they want to be doing, and I just realized right away that wasn't the situation I wanted to put myself in. I wasn't this 9 to 5 mindset. I wasn't this, I want to sit in a cubicle all day and attend meetings all day. I kind of wanted to have a little more control over my schedule, control over my life, I guess I would call it. And but it was difficult for me. It really was. It was not a fun feeling. It's one of those that I think a lot of entrepreneur mindset people are in, because right, they're in a job and they're maybe making money and they're providing for a family, or it's something that's safe, right? It's a safe income that's coming in, and it was great. There was nothing that I can say that I would take back, probably, because look, I provided for my family for 15 years at Caterpillar and did a great job of that. But that said, it was very tough, just checking the box, right? Yep, I'm just checking the box. I didn't feel a true path forward there. And so, yeah, that mixing that passion with reality is sometimes a challenge in this, for entrepreneurial minded people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you talk about that feeling safe, right? That we get into these situations sometimes, and even if we don't love it, we feel safe there, because there's always that pressure to provide not only for yourself, many times for other people who are relying on you, or people who are expecting you to contribute in a monetary fashion, right? Because that's what the world is these days. It's couples working together, doing their piece to bring in money. And there is a risk. There is a risk to to kind of taking that leap into something different that you're developing yourself. Um, and it sounds to me like it was a slower progression for you, that you kind of built up your side hustle over the years and felt like, wow, I'm kind of making some good extra money here. I think I can transition this into full time. But I imagine that there was still some trepidation and fear. Could you talk about that a little bit? That decision. How did you make that decision to kind of cut ties with Caterpillar and then go 100% with Knuppel Solutions?
Well, thankfully, in my situation, they made it pretty easy for me, right? I mean, it was in the period where most companies were going through major downsizing, and I think this was what 2003, I believe, and Caterpillar was going through a major downsize mentality where they were combining positions and moving people around, and I had been there 15 years, and so they had offered opportunities to everyone there of either, hey, well, your job's going away. What you were doing, I was a Six Sigma black belt at the time, so very, all project management and things of that nature, and that role was going away. And so they presented a couple options to me and said, hey, we'll find you another job within the company somewhere. We don't know where or what it could be. We don't know what it'll be, but we'll find something for you. Or we'll give you a severance pay and basically say bye-bye, give you a little money to go. And I was
Yeah.
like, that was like I don't know, most people in the office, everywhere you're looking around, they're all crying and upset and like, this is the end of the world. And here's me
Yeah.
like, yes, like, yes, like you're giving me my ticket out, right? I felt like a
Yeah.
freedom. And I went back to my wife and she'd always known I'd kind of wanted to try this, but it was always that, I just don't know. And so
Yeah.
now the company was going to fund my first 9 to 12 months of business activity. So the risk was a little less. I
Yeah.
had already been spending a lot of time building up the business. And so
Yeah.
I felt very confident at that time that that was the decision to make and to go full force. And then looking back, now the only regret I have is probably not trying it earlier, not going earlier at it.
Mm.
But you never know how that would have went, right? So I guess you can't really have regrets. But
Yeah.
so that's how that story unfolded.
Yeah. Very cool. I I think that will resonate with a lot of founders who, think that they're not sure what the timing is, right? When is the time actually right to dive in and to go 100%? We have a lot of founders in our community who have full-time jobs and this is their side hustle, and they're doing their best to balance both worlds. And I think that creates a lot of pressure and some added stress for sure in people's lives. And so, how did you, when you were doing the two, did you feel any of that pressure when you felt like there was, oh my gosh, there's 50 articles I have to write this week or in these next few days, and I'm still working full time? How did you balance the pressure of really two full-time careers? Because we know that even though it was your side hustle, you were spending
Yeah.
hours and hours and hours doing it. How did you balance the stress of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a couple things. One, you don't get anywhere without a lot of hard work, and that's just something that I truly believe. You just got to work hard. You just do. If you want something, you got to go after it hard. You got to work hard. It's not just going to come to you. So I truly felt, that hey, at nights I was staying up till 12, 1 o'clock doing my articles for the next day. Right, I was.
Yeah.
All my breaks, all my lunch, whatever, I was spending time. So it's really a time management thing at that point because you only have so many hours. Luckily, I'm an efficient worker. I'm a very quick person. Like I'm able to do things fast. And so
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of trouble keeping up. And the first 10 to 13 years of this, it wasn't a job for me. It was my release. It was my outlet. It was my true, like, it wasn't a second job. It was a hobby. It was like I was doing it for no other reason than to get into sports, and it was my true disconnect from work. And so
Yeah.
the last couple years when I started getting busier here, and it started to get a little rough from my mind, like, oh man, now this is kind of like work. And that's when
Yeah.
the wheels started turning of like, I can't do this forever. What would it look like if I just did the side hustle? I started kind of thinking through that. But
Yeah. It's interesting too, because I feel like things I don't know. I'm just a true believer that things happen for a reason. And, challenges are put in our way not to close doors, but to open doors or to clear a path sometimes. And we may not even view it that way, although I do think you did view it that way, which is awesome. But I do think that people sometimes, anytime change comes up, they view it negatively and they don't see it as an opportunity. Um, do you feel like, and I know that you saw this as an opportunity, you saw this change and this
Mhm.
kind of option to as your way out into what you really love and what you're really passionate about that didn't feel like work to you,
Yeah.
so to speak. Um, but what is your philosophy on all of that?
Well, yeah, change is scary. Change is certainly scary for in anything in work and life and everything, and it's not always easy to deal with change. I mean, we see that all the time, and so but it's part of life. It's part of everything, and I try to look at change as, what are the good things from this change, not the bad things. I'm a positive person by nature. I
Yeah.
think positivity is a mindset hack that you have to have even when you're not. And I'll be the first to tell you that I'm not perfect by any means. Like, I have bad weeks and bad days, and I always have to try to get myself out of that through with positivity. And okay, let's look at the bright side. Yeah, all these things may be bad right now, but what are some good things to try to pull me out of this funk, right? Or pull me out of this mindset of negativity. So change can sometimes bring negative thoughts, I think, and that's just a natural correlation, right? Oh, change, this is going to go bad, and this could go bad, and this could go wrong. But if you look at it on the other side of it and think, oh man, with this change, this could happen and this could happen, look at it on more of the positive side, I think you can erase some of that fear of change.
Mm. Yeah, and I totally agree with you. I think that when that change does come up, a lot of times it's directly connected with fear of the unknown, right?
Hmm.
Because we don't know what's going to happen, so we start storytelling, right? And then we have assumptions which impact what our expectations are, and then we're kind of, like you said, just looking down the negative path. And
Yeah.
so I really like the idea that you become aware of the fact that you're thinking negatively, because I think that's step one, right? Is like, oh,
Mhm.
I'm thinking negatively. This isn't helpful, right? And then you move to, well, what could I possibly learn from this? What could I possibly gain from this? What are the potential really good things that could happen? And let me look at that.
Yeah.
Um, someone, I forget who the person was, but said that when a little kid is on a bike and they're out of control on the bike, and there's a trash can in front of them or some kind of obstacle, if they're looking at the trash can, then that's what they're going to hit, is the trash can, right?
Yeah.
But if they look away from the trash can, then their attention goes to whatever they're focusing on. So I do like that mentality. I do think it's so important when you think about being successful. If all you're looking at are the weeds in your garden, you're never going to notice any of the flowers,
Right. Right.
right?
Very
Yeah.
true. Very
Yeah.
true words.
Yeah. So, um, given that you started this business back then in 2014, is that what you said?
Yeah, I mean, full
Yeah,
time. That's when we
full
full time
time, right?
went we got going with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So were there times when, and I know you kind of alluded to it a couple seconds ago, but were there times where you were like, whoa, this might be a little more challenging than I thought, or life is kind of throwing some stuff at me right now, and how did you manage it?
Yeah, I mean, so now we've been in business full time 6 years, right? And challenges come in the business world every day, and I think we're going through very challenging times right now, but it's all good challenges because we're scaling at a pace, we're growing at a pace that is almost hurting us, and so that's a weird problem to have. But you can grow too fast, and if you're not prepared to grow from a process side and from a staffing side, just you'll fail. And so
Yeah.
we're almost failing by growth a little bit right now,
Yeah.
which is very, very stressful to me and very, because it's like, man, you want to grow. That's what the goal of a business is. You want to keep grow, 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 grow. Then
Right.
you hit this point and you're like, wait, we're not ready for that growth, but it's coming. Like, especially in this world of this space of US sports betting and content, everyone's wanting to dive into the space that we're in right now.
Right.
And we've built such a good team and things that we do. I'm truly confident that we have the best content team in this space. And so people are coming to us a lot, and that's great. but we're struggling to keep up a little bit, and we're struggling
Yeah.
to scale with that. And so, yeah, I mean, it's not all roses once you get there, but again, it's just you tackle them one by one, and you come out the other side a little better than you were.
Hmm.
And you know, having my Six Sigma black belt role at Caterpillar, I kind of got in this process mindset, and process was everything to me when I started my business, and it's been that way ever since. And so, if your process isn't in place, things are going to break in general. And so, if there's something wrong or something going on, I always look back to, okay, well, what's actually broken? Let's fix the short term fix, but then what's actually broken with the process or something at the end, and let's try to fix that so this doesn't happen again. I got off from way off on a tangent there, but
No, no, you didn't. Not at all. I mean, I think what you're talking about is so important because you were talking about how challenges impact you, and you're the mentality that you brought to those challenges, that you rely on your process, right?
yeah.
Because challenges can make us feel out of control.
Mm-hmm.
The pressure can make us feel overwhelmed, and if we let that part of the brain take over, then we're going to be scattered, we're going to be distracted, and we're going to make more mistakes.
Yep.
Right? And so what you're saying is you kind of took a step back and you are observing your process.
Yeah.
And you're saying, you know what, how do we need to do this in the most logical, efficient, effective way?
Yeah.
And what better way to kind of walk through a challenge than to sit back and observe and watch logically, as opposed to running around with your hair on fire, right?
Yeah, true.
No one wants to do that.
Very true.
Yeah, but that's the way our society's set up, is they want everybody kind of freaking out and feeling like the world is about to end, and feeling, frantic, because I think at the end of the day, it makes you want to consume more of the chaotic stuff that's being marketed at you. It also makes you just stressed enough that you become impulsive in your purchasing habits. That's
True.
one of the things that I've learned over the years with mindset. But
Yeah.
but let's dive in. What are you most grateful for, and like what have you learned about your character and your personality as you've become this entrepreneur and become successful? What are you most grateful for in terms of your abilities and how you've kind of led this company to be so successful today?
Oh, great question. That's a tough one. You put me on the spot a little bit. I don't know. I don't like talking about myself very much. It's just not my nature.
Yeah.
But I think I'm most grateful for being able to run a successful company, and now working with 60, 70, 80 people, and keep the good relationships going through that, right? And not doing it at the expense of relationships, because it's very important to me. It's funny. I keep wanting to go back to, you probably watched The Prophet, right? The Prophet with Marcus
I've heard.
Lemonis.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever watched it. I'm a business
Yeah.
show junkie like that, but
Yeah.
he always talks about people, process, and product. And every time I start talking about that, I'm like, well, yeah, this is people, and this is process, and this is product. And it's so all three relates to business.
Yes.
But on the people side of thing, that's so important to me, to just keep good relationships, to keep people happy, and to keep people engaged in what we're doing, and to communicate well with them, because it could get easy to just get so suffocated in your business and growing and profit and all of this, that you're trying to grow a company with, and almost forget about who is getting you there, right? Your people, your people. You can't do it without a team. And so I think one thing I'm grateful for is that I'm able to always keep them at the forefront, and feels like I have a good relationship with my entire team. You may ask them, they may give you another story, but from my side, I like my relationships with my people. It just kind of rewards me throughout the day.
I love it. No, it's I think, I've talked to so many people, and when you talk about being successful, relationships are one of the things that pops up first, is the being able to connect with your people and having them feel like they are a part of something important. Interestingly enough, you read, and I read some statistics last week that said that people who are happy in their work operate at 100% of their capacity. People who feel inspired at work operate at 244% of their capacity, right?
Wow.
So, and you use that word inspired. You like to
Mm,
inspire your employees, because at the end of the day, it's one thing to be happy, and I think it's great, and you build those relationships, but it's another thing to know that, or let the people that you work for let the people that work for you, excuse me, know that you value them and that you are excited about the work that they're doing and that they bring something meaningful, because like you said, without them you
mhm.
wouldn't have what you have, right?
No,
Yeah.
absolutely, 100%. I love that word, inspiration. Yeah, that's a great word. It's
Yeah.
not an easy thing to do. It really isn't. It's a you have to really put focus and conscious effort to providing that inspiration. So I'm not saying I do it overly well all the time, but it's
Yeah.
something that is on my mind, and definitely something I think all business owners should keep in mind is how do you inspire your people that you work with and for, and everything, onto the clients and partners that you work with as well. I think that you can inspire them in other ways, I guess.
Absolutely. And I think it's just, it all comes back, right? Because if good energy out
Oh
means
yeah.
good energy in, right?
Hmm.
Just keeping connected with people. Um, and what has been, your biggest surprise in starting this business, either with, a person or a situation or a connection or opportunity that happened that you were really kind of like, wow, I didn't expect that to happen. Have you come across any of that as you've started the business?
I mean, yeah, I feel like I get surprised. I have to pinch myself every day on just some of the companies we're working with now, and just some of the, again, back to the growth that we've experienced as a company. Back in the day, we were working with some very small websites, right, doing content for very small websites, and now we're working with the big companies in this space. We're working with the major affiliate groups that have all the sites. We're working with some operators, and we're starting to get in with all these big sports book operators and companies that are just massive. And so uh, yeah, that surprised me, seeing that progression of us growing as a company, and starting to get the trust of bigger companies. I don't know why it surprised me, but it just, looking back, it's kind of surprised me. It doesn't surprise me now. Now it doesn't, but
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Well, and you've said it. You said that you have such confidence in your team, right?
yeah,
And if you didn't have good content, then I don't think that those kinds of things happen, right? And so
yeah,
these companies were probably watching you over the years and observing you kind of grow and seeing the change and the impact that you were making in the space, and, dabbled in here and there, kind of keeping that eye, and then said, "Oh, let's test them out and see how it goes." And if you're able to put your money where your mouth is, then I think that it
yeah.
it just flows from there. But how do you how do you choose your employees? You said that you feel like you have rock star employees, and they're the best in the industry. You really feel like they give you everything that you need. How do you choose your employees, or how do you ferret through? I mean, I imagine tons of people want to work for your organization. How do you pull the people in that you feel are right, or who is right for Knuppel Solutions?
Well, I mean, so at the core of what we do, right, the writers are the bread and butter of what we do. And what's, a little bit different about us, being an agency, is most of our writers, if not all of them, are not full time with us, right? They're freelancers, they're contractors, they're people that are probably doing some other full time job similar to what I did, and hustling by writing articles. They're me 20 years ago. And so I have that at scale. I have 70 of them, of me 20 years ago, now working for me, and giving me their effort and giving me their extra time that they
Yeah,
have. Now, I do have some full time. I'm mainly wanted to talk about the writers at this point and that crew. So I don't necessarily even consider them my employees. They're contractors that work with us, but I treat them like they are employees, right? I treat them hopefully better than any other company they're freelancing for does. And so
yeah,
my goal is for them to say, yeah, I don't need any of this other work. I only want to do my extra work for Knuppel Solutions and for
yeah,
for Ryan. Um, and so, the right person is one that's just going to get the work done, one that's going to communicate, one that likes to have a little bit of fun and not take things too seriously, wants to talk sports, wants to, I don't know, just be a human being and not like a robot, because
yeah,
we all work too hard, and so when we it's nice to have some human interaction as well with our people. And so we have a group that loves to talk sports even outside of what they're doing. And so um, yeah, I mean, that's it. I just people that can communicate, that can get the work done, good writers, know sports, passionate about sports, and that's the writing side. I mean, I do have full time planners and editors and managers that I can call out in a different way, but it's a
Yeah.
very similar. You know, it's communication, it's reliability, it's good people,
Yeah.
all those type of qualities.
Yeah, awesome. And so it sounds like you've really surrounded yourself with an amazing team. And that is one of the things that I have learned in the last year and a half working with Game Plan U. Who your team is important, especially for founders who are, you could have the best idea in the world, but if you don't have the right people around you to help you grow that business and that vision, you're not going to get too far, because you've got to trust the people that are working with you, around you, for you. And you also have to know that they're going to do what you need them to do, and have, maybe they won't have the same exact level of passion as the founder, but hopefully close to that same level of passion that the founder has, because at the end of the day that they're creating your vision for you, right?
I'm glad you just said that word vision. That's exactly what I was going to say. It's hard to find people that have that same vision as you, because it's your vision, and that's a challenge. It's a very big challenge as you're trying to scale and grow into other areas, or just as you try to grow. You know, I have a perfect mind map in my mind of where I want my company to go. I know where I want it to go. I want
Yeah.
this, and I know the steps that it takes to get there. And so when you try to bring someone on and then communicate that, I'm like, well, I want to get to here, so get me there, but they don't have that same vision through it. And so
Yeah.
one of the real challenges I think a lot of entrepreneurs have is communicating that vision in an actionable way,
Mm.
that's not intimidating, or that's not, it's a tough thing, because there's not many people that get it like you get it, because it's your personal map. And so
Yeah.
the hardest part for me is maybe letting go of that a little bit and saying, okay, at the end of the day, as long as we get here, I guess it doesn't really matter if it's that same path. But yeah, it's definitely something that's a challenge with, finding
Yeah.
the right people that have your right vision in mind.
Right. Absolutely. It's almost like you're inviting everybody, to a party, right? The Knuppel Solutions party, and everybody puts the address in Waze, and maybe Waze takes them a few different directions, but they all end up getting there, right? So there
Yeah.
may be more than one right way to get there. And so what you're saying is you want some of the flexibility to be able to allow for other people to be creative in the process of seeing your vision to the end, with you having enough kind of, this is the destination, just make sure we get here and we don't
Yeah.
waste too much time getting there, right? Don't go down the roads that have roadblocks and the
It's
ones that
tough.
are going to detour you. Yeah.
It is tough. It is tough. If
Yeah.
anyone tells you that is easy, they're lying to you.
I
But
completely agree.
it's how good companies get to great. It's how great companies just excel, is by finding that team that can really put it all together and mix and match and really make that plan happen. If you get that combination right, the sky's the limit, honestly.
I completely agree with you. And I think that is a perfect place to end today.
Perfect.
Ryan, if people want to get in touch with you, this is your LinkedIn. You're just Ryan Knuppel on LinkedIn, knuppsolutions.com. They can check you out there. But then you also have a whole other little thing going on with Knupp Sports. Why don't you just talk about that real quick?
Well, I mean, we're content people, right? And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Knupp Sports is like that place where, my dad and my brother and me, we're the Knupps, right? And so we're always like, oh, we have an article we want to just put up somewhere. Well, let's just put it all up on Knupp Sports. So that's how that started like 5 years ago. We're like, hey, all this stuff that we have on our mind that maybe isn't like content a client would want. It's just stuff that we want to write.
Yeah.
We started putting there, and now I treat it as like a playground for my writers. So if my writers want to express themselves in other ways that maybe they're not getting ordered content from, right? If they
Yeah.
want to just put up an article about some random game tonight or some random thought that's on their mind in the sports world, I
Yeah.
give them that platform to kind of put articles up there. So it's a
That's
playground,
awesome.
it's fun. And then I host the Noob Sports Show, which is a very similar format to this. We just talk
Yeah.
to industry leaders and things of that nature. Not as much about mindset, but more about their
Yeah.
business and things of that
Yep.
nature. So yeah, I love it. It's the fun outlet part of the job for me, the creative piece,
Yeah.
and that's fun. So yeah, head on out to Noob Sports, and you can find me on LinkedIn. I love to chat with people if
Yeah.
anybody wants to talk business.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you want to learn more about Knuppel Solutions or check out Noob Sports, you can find Ryan at Ryan Knuppel on LinkedIn. And Ryan, I want to thank you so much for being here today, for being willing to open up your brain to me a little bit and get in there and really talk about your mindset. I think you had some amazing insights and just advice for founders and people looking to make a change in their life or to grow and do something that maybe they were a little bit they have this great idea, but they're not sure what to do. I think that listening to this, are going to be able to get that. So I appreciate your time for sure. For those of you who want to learn more about Game Plan U, again, check us out at gameplanu.org, and you can find me on LinkedIn as well, or you can email me at denise@gameplanu.org. And if you like this broadcast, if you like this content, please like and share, subscribe, and hope to see you at the next Mindset Monday. Thank you again, Ryan, for being here. Really
Thanks,
appreciate
Denise.
it. Have a
No,
great
thank
day,
you, Denise.
everybody.
Have a good one.
Thanks.